Hey guys, MD Prepper here talking about another low-cost prepping option, beater blade type thing for general use and finally deciding what you like as far as blades go. This is the BudK fighting knife, which is an obvious knockoff of the KBAR blade. Basic dimensions are exactly the same. Stainless steel instead of carbon. Run you about 10 bucks or so on BudK. I believe the price has gone up because they've improved the sheath significantly, looks like. But they run you about 15 to 20 bucks, which is a lot cheaper than the $60 or $70 for your standard KBAR. Now, let me go ahead and say I still prefer my KBARs, but just as a beater blade, just something to play around with. I got one just to see what it was like for 10 bucks. You know, they had a special running and whatnot, so I said, what the heck. This is the only one I've got. I usually buy two blades, you know, one to beat up and one to keep, but this one was so cheap I just bought the one. So I've used this a fair amount overall, just for general purpose, and it served fairly well. This one's stainless steel, comes with serrations on the bottom part of it there, which if you know my vids, I'm not a huge fan of serrations on just about anything other than a saw. It's fine though, nothing wrong with it. Again, a good, decent blade to get somebody into camping and bushcraft and all of that. It's a bigger style blade. Run you about the same price as a Mora knife, something like that. Maybe a little cheaper, maybe a little more, just depending on where you find it. Nothing wrong with it all. Again, fit and finish is nowhere near that of a KBAR, which I'll compare here in a second. Nothing wrong with it. About 6.5 inch blade or so. Serrations down here in the bottom, like I said. Does not come nearly as sharp as your standard KBAR, but sharpens up fairly well. I don't know the quality of steel of this. I don't know if it's 440 or what. You're going to be able to check out the website, but it's a knockoff KBAR. That's all that it is. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of great reviews if you check the website there at BudK. Not everybody can afford the $50, $60 KBAR. This is not a bad place to start, especially if you got kids or somebody young you're teaching to use a bigger blade. Let them beat this one up. Let them abuse this thing. Let them snap the thing in half. Who cares? You can buy another one for 10, 12 bucks or 15 or so. See the blade on this. It's been used a little bit. Beat up some, you can see, held up fairly well. BudK right there. Of course, the stats on the back side, stainless steel and all of that. Leather wrapped handles, the leather washers, like your standard. Appears to be full tang, very similar to the KBAR, at least per my magnet. Use a back plate here for hammering if you needed to, but I'm not a big fan of that with any knife at all. I just think that's a waste of a knife. Find yourself a nice rock or a large log or something to hammer with if you need to. So it's held up fairly well from basic use. Only complaint I've got about it is the guard here has loosened slightly. I don't know if you can see that wobble right there. I don't know if this was glued in place or just wasn't firmly placed, but there's a very slight wobble there. And the guard is not going to affect the blade use at all. It's not been a big problem. I did not notice that when I first got the blade. I think I just knocked the thing loose. I think. Don't know. But overall, it's a good full-size blade. It's 10 bucks. I'll do some reviews of my real KBARs here after a while, just haven't done it yet. Sheath, very basic nylon Cordura. Not the sturdiest by any means. It's functional, it's basic. Basic little Velcro snap here at the top. Again, nothing fancy. Fits in just fine. Snaps in, holds just fine. Nothing wrong with this for a $10 blade. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. Beat it to death, you won't care. Now, I beat some of my KBARs to death and don't care, but, well, I'd say I got a little bit more disposable cash for that type of stuff than some folks. So, there's your knockoff KBAR right there. Let me show you my real KBAR. Well, one of them. This is my, I don't want to say presentation piece, but this is the one I might keep by the bedside. I don't use a whole lot. This is my one for, if I absolutely have to grab a blade and run out in the woods, my EDC kit, you know, 72 hours, I'm grabbing my fresh blade, the one who's not been beaten up. I've got another one, well, several, that I have that I beat up and use a lot. Laying those out, they appear almost identical. A little brighter shine and finish on the leather washers on the actual KBAR. I prefer my KBARs to be plain edge, not serrated, but at the time all they had were these serrated ones for the cheap version, the $10 one. I believe they've got these in a straight edge now as well from checking the website. A little bit more money, a little bit better sheath though. The sheath appears to be leather or something like that with a sharpening stone on it, which maybe that's worth the extra few bucks, don't know. So Let me show you these two up close. Length is almost identical in every way, blade shape, etc. There you go. Again, the actual KBAR here on the top has not been used. This is my pristine one, like I said. Grips, they're the same. Not perfectly lined up like they should be, but there you go. They're the same. Rear of them almost exactly the same, except you don't have the actual bit of the tang sticking on the back end here, but appear to be about the same in all general uses. Maybe a little deeper on the fuller here on the actual KBAR, just a bit. Obviously the standard KBAR comes with a nice leather sheath here, made in Mexico though. They do have some of the Kydex ones, the plastic ones, polymer, whatever you call them. I've got one of those. I've got one of these KBARs I just picked up in the rubberized grips and all that. Not used that one a whole lot, but I'll get you guys a review on that one too if you want, or a review on this one if you want. Whatever. We're talking about low cost though. KBARs aren't low cost. They're very affordable. They're very great blades for the money. Tremendous. For a larger size blade that's going to do the job, I would probably pick that if I had the cash, even over for low cost prepping, other than a cold steel Bushman or anything like that. Love this. Great knife. Nothing wrong with the KBAR. Been around forever, and forever for a reason. Great stuff. But for 10 bucks, or maybe 15 now if the price is to be believed, this is not a bad starter blade for somebody who doesn't know if they want a KBAR, don't know if they like the angles or the blade style or whatnot. You just don't want to spend the money. Buy this one. Beat it up, use it, see if you like the grip and the handles and everything else. You know, not everybody likes the leather washers. You know, some people want synthetic or everything else. Play around with it. For 10 bucks, this can be your backup blade. This is something you can keep in the car. You can keep it bug out bag as a backup, and keep it in the house. You know, use it in the backyard. Whatever in the world you want to do. For 10 bucks, I think it's worth the price. If you're not already a big KBAR fan and just not sure what you want to do. Of course, would I recommend you actually get a real KBAR? Sure, I would. But for 10 bucks, hey, can't be beat. Sheath, it's okay. Nothing fancy. It'll do okay. Won't hold up as well as the actual KBAR sheaths, but again, 10 bucks versus 60 or so. Start off with, there's nothing wrong with this. You know, get this for your bigger task and batoning and all that. Get a little cheap Mora knife for your smaller, mid-sized tasks. You're good to go for most purposes. Again, this thing is going to hold up to most of your stuff that you're going to need to do. 72-hour kit, no problem. This is going to last. Is it going to last as long as my bad boy KBAR? No, I'd much rather pick my KBAR, but it costs 6 times as much, so do the math. Decent blade for 10 bucks from BudK. Very impressed for a Chinese blade. Maybe not for everybody, but thought I'd talk about it. MD Prepper, out.